Chair recognizes Mr. Kiley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to follow up on a point raised just now by Mr. Issa, but first I wanted to also say thank you to Ms. Rockwell for being here and sharing your story. I know how difficult it is and how much courage it takes. I've had the chance to work with parents who, like yourself, have found themselves in an unthinkable situation, including two parents, Chris and Laura Didier, who were my guests at the State of the Union a couple weeks ago. And I think it's because of the power of your voice and the voices of people like the Didiers and other parents who have had that courage that the president did at least acknowledge the scale of this problem in his State of the Union address, the largest platform that he has as president. Mr. Chair, we heard from the ranking member that this is not a crime problem. And I would have to take issue with that statement. After all, we're talking about a poison that largely originates with dedicated criminal organizations and that is peddled in our communities by dealers to unsuspecting young people under false pretenses using social media or any other means at their disposal. So yes, there are multiple dimensions to this problem. First and foremost, securing the border, raising awareness, but holding criminals accountable is a very important dimension. And in that respect, we actually have some very recent news out of my district. In the last 2 days, there's been a preliminary hearing for a defendant, the drug dealer Carson Shu. His victim was a 20-year-old soon-to-be father named Cade Webb, who died of fentanyl poisoning after consuming a fake pill. Some may actually have heard about his story because he is the cousin of Logan Webb, who's the star pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, who after the tragedy used his position to share the story to raise awareness, and then other Major League Baseball players did so as well. So yesterday, the preliminary hearing concluded, and this happened to take place in Placer County, where the DA's office, led by District Attorney Morgan Geyer, has been very committed to using every tool at their disposal to get a handle on the fentanyl crisis. They've been part of public awareness campaigns like One Pill Can Kill, and they have been very aggressive in using the criminal laws to hold dealers accountable, under the belief that anyone who sells this lethal substance and doesn't care whether their customer lives or dies is guilty of murder. So in the death of Cade Webb, and in prosecuting the dealer, Carson Shu, they decided to charge him with murder, because that's what this is. And yesterday, there was a holding order in the case, and it is now going to go to trial, and this drug dealer will face murder charges for selling this lethal substance to this young man in our community. So I would just encourage prosecutors across the country to take a look at what the District Attorney's Office is doing under the leadership of Morgan Geyer in Placer County. Because yes, I think we need stiffer penalties, and that does need to be legislated. But there's a lot we can do under existing criminal laws. And since Placer County started being more aggressive in prosecuting dealers, law enforcement is hearing about results on the street that dealers are now wary of selling in our community. So I'd just ask the question to Mr. Maltz. You know, we've heard that this isn't a crime problem. We've heard that having stiffer penalties for the dealers isn't going to really do anything. Does that perspective resonate more with your experience, or does the perspective of the law enforcement in my district that this actually is serving as a real deterrent sound more realistic to you?
Well, there's leadership in California. I know in San Diego they have Task Force 10 with the DEA and Homeland Security, other agencies, and they're prosecuting defendants for the death of these kids that are dying. But I will tell you this, I talk to DEA agents every day, and you know why they're upset right now? Because the Department of Justice is putting out more guidance and more restrictions and more requirements to charge minimum mandatory sentences for people that are killing our kids. Like, it doesn't get any simpler. If they're killing our kids, they need to feel the pain and go to jail. It's not going to stop the problem because there's so many kids addicted. Because right now in America, there's a lot of anxiety, social, depression, COVID caused a lot of this. So these kids are turning to these pills, and they have no idea what they're getting. But my thing is they have to be told that the pills will kill you. They don't know that because they're not getting the messages. They're not watching this hearing. They're not watching mainstream media, cable news. That's why the athletes and the celebrities have to be called to the White House, and they have to participate. And they got to put China aside because of the big money they make, and they have to go and they educate the kids and save lives.
Time, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Maltz. I yield back.